another video. So today I have to begin the video with an apology. So basically we kind of skipped an episode here, which is not particularly what I like to do. It was an old episode. I kind of updated everything to the format that we needed for to actually start moving, and I had a very basic move function, but I was going to update that in this episode and make it actually much nicer, since that's quite a big task. It's actually quite a bit of code. I haven't really for a while, so we'll work our way through it. However, due to recording issues, the audio desynced really badly, which meant that the video is practically unwatchable. And I was like, well, I could re-record it, I could reset it, and go through that. I was like, but I didn't really do much, and so I felt that it's a bit weird if you do. I felt like I wanted to kind of just, it's not like I coded anything, right? And if I coded stuff, sure, I would redo that, but I felt like all I did was just play around and make the screen look nicer and so on. And so I'm just going to quickly go over every detail I made and how to make those changes if you want to make them yourself, or you can just download the description below. There'll be a link to the GitHub repo. You can go to that repo and you can either download the current repo, which will give you the current version. That one will be updated to this episode. So most likely what you want to do is you want to go to releases and then download the episode 2 release. I went to a release for every episode, but there'll be one for episode 2. I was going to do one every 5 episodes, but there'll be an extra one now because of this. This is just so that you can kind of get yourself up to date with this version, right? So there'll be, I think it won't be called episode 2, it'll be called episode 1, which means at the end of episode 1, which is kind of a bit weird because that's not going to be the changes at the end of episode 1, it's going to be like changes at episode 1.5, but regardless, you get what I'm saying. So all I did was made the floor a unique layer. That's all I did. Right, so if we actually turn off all the other layers, we see that the floor is a unique one. We see that how we just do it this way. We see that the wall is a unique one, and notice how the walls includes the door. The special walls is a unique one, and top level also is a unique one. Notice how the special walls just includes these parts. And then we have the top level, which includes the very top bit. Then we've got collidables, which is everything you can walk into and stops you. And on that layer, we have a collision. Same thing with this layer here. This layer also has a collision. The wall layer, obviously. And then interactables have a collision, but it's on trigger only. So it means we'll walk through them, but we'll trigger something. So that's a bit cold. And then top level. Now we explain that. So that's it. The only difference is if you look at them, so you literally could pause the video right now and just make a bunch of layers and just do this if you wanted to, or you could download the thing. You could also just in the description below, I will host in the release. There'll be a few files in case you don't want to do all the changes. So there'll be a file which will just include these changes, which I suggest is the one you download. It'll be much smaller. It will just include the test scene because that's all you need. You don't need animations, you don't need any of that, you just need the Unity scene. So actually I made may be a bit different. It may not be, I'll still do the GitHub release just for the sake of that. But it may be better for you to just download the Unity file, which will give you this kind of scene here. And nothing else. The second thing is my player has a box collider. Basically, as you see, it's just this. You can kind of change it around like this and make it small if you want. You can make it like, or make it a bit more actually accurate, like that. That's probably a bit better. That's much better. Anyway, so we got a nice collider around him. It works nicely. You go make sure you're freezing rotation on your player and on your chest. As you notice, the chest is a unique object now. This is because we allow it to move it around. And see, they got the chest collider here, which is polygon, so I got more control. Actually, to be honest, it could be fixed a bit better. It's pretty mediocre. reality doesn't matter much. But anyway, its rotation is also frozen, and its mass is 50 because we don't want to throw it around like it's nothing. And that's basically it. There's nothing else. Now technically coins should also be thrown around. So coins really should be not on the, coins shouldn't be on an interactable layer. If we're doing things like Isaac, they move around when you push them. And we will be doing that. It's just for now. So I'll move them onto their own layer later. I guess I can move them now, but we probably won't. But yeah, when we move them into their own layer, it means we can actually have a better collision. Anyway. Okay. So that's kind of all the changes I've made really quickly, because I really want to get to these changes and actually make some. And cool. So you can go do that, or you can literally just spend 2 minutes. It took me about, I mean, I say the video took me 20 minutes, but that's me going slowly through it. Like literally, it really isn't that hard. I mean, you could start completely from scratch. I mean, I'm sure you got to this your own special scene. Also, while I'm here, I said I was going to make these changes. Of course, let's actually fix these pots, because these pots do not look nice in the way that they are. So they're interactable there. I'm wrong. They're collidables. So we're going to turn off the pots, and then we're going to move them. There we go. And that's, oops. That's all we need. There we go. So I made a few changes there. Now you may ask, what's an easy way to quickly do it? Let's say I wanted to get rid of just the door and put the door on its own special layer. What you do is you turn on every layer, duplicate the wall one, right? Duplicate layer one, turn off the wall layer, change the name obviously, and then what you do is you open up 2D, tile map, you press this button, and you basically just remove everything that you don't want on this layer. In this case, I just want the door. And then what you do is you enable walls and you disable this one, and then you turn off, remove the door, and then when you turn it back on, you see we have the full scene again, right? But the door's on its own special layer. Now I'm actually going to keep this changed because I just made it, and why not? It won't really make much difference. And actually is quite useful in case we want to turn on all doors and pull them down, stuff like that. But yeah, right now, why not? So we're going to work on building our character. So the first thing that we want to do is basically have, the annoying thing about this is that we basically want to have a bunch of input checkers. Now, this may be a bit different to how we normally have done things before, because we have a specific way to do things. So keep that in mind. Okay, we want a bunch of else ifs, and we want these to be up, and those to be down, and we want to flip these keys around, so we get A, and we got A. We basically want to do the whole thing again, but for up and down. So this is following WASD. You could also look into doing things like multiplayer and stuff like that. We're not going to be doing that in this series. I don't think so. We're doing things like co-op because it's not too hard to do yourself, and it just kind of complicates things like this. Because the whole point of the series is not to build a properly done game. It's just to build something that will play and will work like a game, but it's more a framework or a baseline for your own product. You have so many requirements in your own system. There's no point in me trying to presume those requirements. But yeah, anyway, so we're going to begin with looking at how to do this. So we kind of want, the easiest way that I often do things is introducing flags. You will have required these usings. We won't use all of them right now, but I'm sure we'll use them eventually. Now we're going to put this outside the class. It doesn't actually matter where you put it. Movement. This is basically just, well, simply put, movement. Now I do all my flags in uppercase, but I know some people don't, so do them in whatever case you want. It doesn't really matter. It's just a C. Basically makes you generally do them in uppercase. That's the standard way of doing them there. So generally, you have a background in C, so C++ languages. you generally end up doing them in all caps. Yeah, so I'm not going to really explain bitwise because I think bitwise is explained much better elsewhere. I think I will eventually have a video on bitwise because bitwise this uses the same amount of bitwise operation, so I'll explain what is happening as I go. This is my preferred way of doing movement. It basically remembers state, so it means if I hold D and hold A, it's going to move in whatever direction I last hold. And if I lift up the A key, but I'm still holding the D key, it will then move in the D state. So it means that it basically feels much more fluid. Almost every game out here uses this kind of movement. I know many games do it differently. I feel this is one of the most efficient ways to do it. I could be wrong though. Anyway, so we want this, then we also want a few interesting states. The first one is we want a called current state, and we want another one called movement. Now this is direction to move in, and this is for state remembering. So basically, am I spelling it wrong? For state. I'm just gonna say state. This is so we can remember. Yeah, I'm spelling it right. This is so we can remember how state, and this is so we can actually tell what direction we're moving in, obviously. And so the first thing we want to do is we actually want to hold the old state. And this allows us to check whether or not we actually have moved, and whether or not we've stopped moving, and so on. So we check whether or not our key down is D, obviously. If so, then it's actually quite simple. State, we're going to say it's equal to current state or movement right, which basically means we're now also moving right. Now, the OR operator in bitwise acts a bit unintuitively. It's more like AND. It's like this and this are activated, whereas the AND operator is kind of more like OR. It's a bit weird. It's like if I have a sequence of bits that are like 0, 0, 0, 1, 0 and 0, 0, 0, 1. If I OR them, I get 0, 0, 1, 1, because OR means if either of them are 1, then it becomes 1, else it becomes 0, right? Because they're both 0. However, AND would mean this would be just straight up 0. Oops. Because they both have to be 1. But you would view this and you would say that AND would mean that, well, AND would mean that either flags are weird. It's weird. It's basically all acts like kind of stating the fact that both flags are activated. This flag and this flag are activated. And then I don't think we'll go into it, but XOR is basically stating that XOR would also be 0. Oh no, sorry, XOR would be this. However, if this was this, then XOR would be 0 here. Because XOR states only one of them can be on. They both can't be on. It's exclusive OR. The ones like, but they're the big ones. I do think, I don't know, we'll see if we have to use XOR or flipping. We'll definitely use a flip operation, I'm sure, but we'll see it. So what we want to do is we're going to change our current movement. Now, this is a really weird way to do it. It's not a really weird way to do it, but it seems odd, and I'll explain it in a moment. Just gotta make sure I got the signs right. It's basically just a pretty standard pattern of doing things like this. Yeah, we're moving right, so we want to check our movement to be right, and then we want to flip left. What this basically means is that if we press down right, our character will now just move right. Because what happens is when you AND it with the negative of something, which basically flips all 1s and 0s, so 1s become 0 and 0s becomes 1s, i.e., let's just skip this section. If I had something like this, let's say this, right? This is my current movement. Now we're going to say that this one here means that we're moving left, right? What we're going to do is we're first going to OR it with right, which we said is this, right? Let's say. Now that will give us, as we said before, this. And then we're going to AND that with the inverse of left, which is going to give us, the inverse of left is 1, 1, 0, 1, which is the first one 1? Yes. Is the second one 1 and 1? No. And then no, and then no. Because they both have to be 1 for it to be true. And so what this means is that we now just get a moving right. So it means that this basically will prevent us from moving both left and right, because, well, we can't. But our state still remembers that we were moving left, right? Now, if we currently aren't moving left, then it won't make a difference. But if we are moving left, then it will make a difference. Anyway, so we're going to paste this to basically just these ones right now. And then we're going to change it. So this is going to be left and right. So basically this has to be the opposite of this, and these have to match. This would be up, this would be down. So this would be up, and this would be down, and this would be up, and this would be down. As you can see, pretty simple. And the next thing is when we want to turn them off. Let's say our current state. So when we're no longer pressing it, we basically want to toggle off. And what do we use to toggle off? Well, we already covered this. We use this. So that's all we're doing. We're just basically running this to toggle off. No, but there's a little bit more for us to do than this. We actually have to, oddly enough, yeah, this will seem a bit odd, but basically what we have to do is we have to pretend that our current movement was going to be D. And so if we're holding down D and A, then we lift up D, we would now want to go left. So we basically just want to deactivate D, but also activate F, left. But only activate left if we were already holding down left. Yeah, so this is quite a bit complicated. So first thing is we want to use our old system here, like what we had here. But we actually want to change where we do this to. So we want to check that our left command is actually activated. By actually, do we want to do all? No, we want to AND. And then once this is all done, we want to AND that with the negative of our current movement, which is right. Which may seem good. So this is going to turn off right, like what we got here. So we could do it in like multiple steps. So the first step, we turn off right by doing this. But then we could turn on left by doing this. I've just kind of combined them into one step. It doesn't really matter. You can do as multiple steps as you want. And then here we just basically have to flip this. Now what this means is, by this left operator, it means we have to be moving right in our current state. So our state has to be saying that we're holding down the right key. Because if we're not holding down the right key, then we aren't going to be moving right. And therefore, this won't be true. And this will result in 0. And then current movement and 0 is, also all 0 is just, well, current movement. It's not going to make a difference, and then we just go off left. So it's kind of got a weird case because, oh, I just don't care in these cases. So yeah, again, up here, but just going to go up. This has to be the opposite, so it's going to be down, and then this is going to be up. Again, it seems a bit odd, maybe, but there we go. So that's all done. Now we got to talk about animation and actually getting our character to move when we're starting. So in this animation thing, I've already added it, but we want an idle and want to move. I believe we already had the idle. I can't remember. Yeah, I don't remember, sorry. But the idle, I believe we already have idle to trigger. These both should be triggers, just add them here. Make sure you go an idle and move. Make sure the one goes from player move to player idle is idle, and the one that goes from player idle to player move is move. Now normally I would do an any state, I think that's what I did, but there's a weird bug that I've been facing where with any state, they have it seems to constantly trigger it. I don't think it's anything I've been doing because it worked in the previous version of Unity in to 2018.1, but no longer works. I'm just going to work around that until they fix it. I have raised a issue, bug report, or whatever, and from what I can gather, it does seem like a bug. We'll see though. Okay, so yeah, cool. Okay. For some reason 2D just zooms out. Anyway, so here's our animation. It's really simple. Make sure that the extra time is off for both of them. You can just make transition between those two. Sweet. That's it. So we need to do right now, and then we need to actually start moving. So we want to check whether or not we've actually moved. So if we haven't moved, if we actually moved, then basically we want to actually change our animation. So you want to say, well, our current state equals, well, if we have gone from moving to not moving, then we basically just want to go to idle. So we want to reset our move, and then we want to set idle. Else if we are moving now, or else if we were moving, then what you want to do is you want to reset it idle. Smells. Right. It smells like carbon monoxide. Which doesn't smell like anything. But let's not get carbon monoxide poisoning. Thank you. Okay, anyway, sorry. Yeah, so we reset our idle and we're going to set our move. Yes, that's what we want. We're going to doing this stuff off memory. I haven't literally never written this stuff in quite a while, but I kind of have done this so many times in the past that it just basically becomes like nature. So I just want to check whether or not I'm moving down. I'm going to repeat this bit of code multiple times. All I'm doing is saying, hey, if we are meant to move down, move down. Really easy. So we're just going to change our velocity, set our velocity to be a new vector 2, and say, hey, we don't want to change the x velocity, but we do want to change the y, and we want to set to, I'm going to say negative speed, because I'm going to set a speed thing up here. I'm going to say equal to 5f. Now you could go and change this to whatever you want. I find 5 is about okay. I'm also going to have saying if both of them are active. So if we're moving both horizontally and vertically, I'm going to have a special thing. Oh yeah, I have to do. I was like, something else looks weird here. But no, I actually have to do up as well. Now I've done this in else if because I don't want, you know, if they're just going to cancel each other out, so you might as well. If we are moving vertically not at all, the easiest way to check that is actually really cool. You can basically just go movement dot horizontal. If that equals movement dot none, what that means is that we're not moving at all. Because it's horizontal, vertical, not horizontal. I was like, huh. Because the vertical means up or down. So what this means is this will result to say, hey, if we're moving up or down, then this will not equal none. If we aren't moving up or down, then this will equal none. In that case, we basically just want to set the velocity to 0 and 0. Then we basically want to copy and paste for down and right. I mean, not down and right, left and right. This should be horizontal, and so this will be 0 and rb dot velocity dot y. And then I'm basically just copy and paste this here and here. And so this will be speed, and this will be negative speed. Now, in the case of when we're moving left, we actually want to flip our sprite render. Now, this seems a bit weird, but basically, we want our character to look like he's moving left, so this will just do it. I can just basically quickly show you. It's going to decide to load. Flip. See, he looks like he's moving left. So now if I press this button, what you'll see is he begins to move left. He idle, moves right. Now, it's kind of hard to show you what key presses I'm putting right now, but I'm just basically going to move around to give you an indication. You can try it yourself of how the movement works. Now, I can walk into things. As you notice, the box is moving around too, and it's got a bit of velocity to it. It's kind of cool because because of how you apply your own velocity, you can kind of have some weird interactions with things, because if things hit you, your own velocity yourself will increase, which is really weird. It shouldn't be happening. So we're actually going to make sure that our velocity does not increase, which is a little odd because it's kind of hard, but we can try to play around. But because we basically want to interact with things, so we do actually want to discrete here, because otherwise we do actually want to restart this, because basically we want things to not use our mass. And the easiest way to do this is actually to set our mass to a really, really high number. What this means is that when we hit something, oh, no, it's going to move it really fast because our mass is really high. I see, that's a problem. That's not what I want. Because the problem with this is if I hit something, let's say this, and then it runs into me, I'm going to move. Actually, no, that's fine. There's no problem with that. Okay, sweet. So there's going to be weirdness. I mean, if there are weirdness, we'll handle it. But yeah, so you run into things. I mean, that may seem a bit weird that I'm not running right through this because of my bounding box. So you can make your bounding box, but it's more in that case if you really wanted to, but I think it's fine. But there's one really weird thing that you may have noticed, that when I'm moving diagonally, I move much, much faster. And that's actually just simply because when I'm moving diagonally, my movement is speed up and speed cross. It's too much. So I want to add a special condition to say, hey, if horizontal does not equal, keep in mind this does not equal, actually there's a really easy way you can check this. I just realized there's a way that I can't check, which is you can check whether or not the horizontal movement does not equal none and the vertical movement does not equal none, but you could just also check whether or not x does not equal is greater than 0, or really does not equal 0 since we always set it, and rb.velocity.y does not equal 0. I mean, I'm a bit worried about this because these are floats. Yeah, this is a comparison here. I'm hoping it should round it. If it rounds it, it'll be fine. I mean, like truncate it even. I don't know, we'll see. Then basically I just want to set our velocity to be, well, I'm just going to probably guess it, the square root of 2. This is a very weird thing to use, but basically what this means is the square root of 2 is actually commonly the speed that is used when moving around a corner. So if I'm moving, let's say, so basically what this means is, you can see my speed is about what you expect. So I cover 1, 2, if I set my speed really, really slow, it will help you see it, like 1. So if I start in the middle of a square and I go 1, 2, it takes me about 2 seconds to cross the middle square. If I go 1, 2, 1, 2, you see I crossed that same 1, 2, I crossed that same amount of time, that same amount of distance diagonally, because I've gone 1, 2, I've gone down 1 in a cross line. However, if I didn't have that, what would happen is I would cross it in twice the speed. So I would do this, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And so obviously when I have a movement speed of 2, I'm actually going to cross 2 tiles, or much faster. I'm going to cross 1, 2 tiles in that time. I'm also going to cross 2 tiles diagonally in that. So basically what I want is I want my diagonal movement to be equal to my horizontal movement. In this case, I'm actually going to set my speed low because my speed is quite fast. You can change these. I just use these here because they're good for debugging. In reality, you'd probably make them private. The speed probably would be somewhere else too, but as you see that when I'm holding both of them, my current state is horizontal. However, what I'm doing is, yeah. So you can see I'm holding both of them down and moving up. If I let go, I'm still going to be moving up. I'm going to be moving down. If I hold up, you can kind of see that basically I can kind of do up and down, but just pressing up. It's almost like a Flappy Bird kind of thing. But just like rapidly pressing it. Now, the animation is not that smooth, but that's mainly just due to like some animations that you could do. It's quite jagged. So we could add some input lag to that. But honestly, it's fine. But basically what this means is that our character is going to move a bit slower around corners and so on. I feel like... No, my FPS is fine. Sometimes it feels like the FPS is a bit weird. Anyway. You know, let's play around with this. Anyway, so that's it. There's nothing else really that crazy. We've basically done it. So I can kind of explain a bit more why it's square root of 2, I guess, is probably what I should do. So look at triangle. And the easiest way is if we zoom in here, and we look at this triangle from here to here, right? If we actually, the triangle from here to here, this side here, the hypotenuse of the triangle, its length, due to Pythagoras' theorem, is equal to the square root of the upside divided by this side. So for a single square, if we have velocity 1 across and velocity 1 up, therefore its distance along here will equal the square root of 1 plus 1, or 1 squared plus 1 squared, which is just 1 plus 1. And the square root of 1 plus 1 is the square root of 2. Now that's presuming that we're moving at a speed of 1. So if we're moving at a speed of 5, then is it still square root 2? And the answer is yes, because we're dividing by that value, not setting by that value. So if our speed was 1, it's not going to make a difference. If our speed was, 5, it's going to be 5 on square root 2, right? Which is going to be what we want, right? Yeah. Because we want our speed to be, yeah, basically, that's it. So what this means is that generally we do move a bit faster moving diagonally, in terms of that we'll move the same distance diagonally that we'll move non-diagonally. So if it takes us 2 seconds to move 2 tiles, we're still going to move, we're going to end up just moving 1 tile diagonally in that time, basically is what that means. Because we're basically still moving the same distance as if we moved, this is actually the easiest way to show. So if we move left then up, right, it's the same time as moving this. So it's basically, this is going to be the same time than this us moving left and up. Oh, what happened there? Something weird happened to the character. There may be bugs that we'll iron out, I'm sure. Oh, this is good. So its state is stuck. Oh, I see. I know what's wrong. Yeah. This is actually pretty obvious. Yeah. What this means is if I press both keys down at the same time, it doesn't actually... So if I press both keys down at the same time, it's fine, because it's just going to take the right movement. However, if I push both keys down at the same time, then lift up, it's fine. Yeah, there we go. I'm holding down the left key right now, but it's not moving left. Isn't that wonderful? So the way that we actually have to solve it is really, really weird. Basically just by putting these else ifs. These can't be else ifs anymore. These have to be ifs. Which may be a bit odd to people. this will basically fix that problem. In saying that, now we're gonna move left to then rather than right. And we typically, when we're holding both keys down, do we want to move left or right? It doesn't really, it'll be whatever one we press last. But in this case, our character will tend towards the right. He may not. No, he will. Yeah, he will. So what this means, if I press both of them down at the same time, I'm going to move horizontal. I can't not. And you can tell I'm holding them both at the same time. When my character moves left, that means I'm holding them both at the same time. So if I'm doing this, I can do this. If I do this, my character no longer gets stuck and keeps moving in direction. So that was a quick bug fix. And same for up and down. Up and down is kind of hard to press at the same time. Now typically most people don't have two keys and don't press both keys at the same time, but sometimes they do, and not all games support it, and it's very weird when a game doesn't support it, because typically it means that you can be holding down a key, and then you let go of the key and your character just stops, because the game doesn't track state. So it's like, oh, wonderful. Yeah, so tracking state's important. This is a bit of a mess, but we can go through ways to clean this up later. Basically, these things all do the same thing, so these things can all be extracted and put into a single function. We'll go for that later, not today. Anyway, thanks for watching. There's going to be a ton of new content, hopefully, so it'll be really interesting in the next few weeks.